LeetCode Problem 146, LRU Cache. So this problem wants us to implement a class called LRU Cache, and here they have some different things they want us to do. So in the constructor, you will call the constructor like this, where you will use the capacity, which in this case will be the total size, the capacity of the cache, and then they want us to implement the get method as well to return the value of the key if the key exists, otherwise we return -1. And they also want a put method where they will put the key and value. So we have to update the value of the key if the key exists, otherwise we add the pair into the cache, and if the cache have already exceeded the capacity upon putting, we have to remove the least recently used key, right? And then our function has to run in O1 average time complexity. That means we cannot iterate through every time we get or put. Okay, so when you look at key and value, I thought I will need to use a map. In this case, would be an unordered map, but a regular map will work fine as well. And then I'm using a C++ pre-built linked list, right? And then I also have an integer here, which stores the capacity of the cache, right? So upon construction, I will store the capacity in a variable called cap. Okay, so once we're done with that, let's talk about the put method first, right? Okay, so I'll use the example given here and explain how my code handles it. So when the LRU cache is initialized, the capacity is set at 2. So right now our capacity is 2. Okay, and then it calls put for 1, 1, right? The key is 1 and 1. Okay, so what actually happens is when you call the put method, it's using key and value, correct? Okay, I'm gonna use list, and then we have a map. Okay, so when it calls the key and value, okay, for the if statement, it does not do anything because there is nothing inside the map. Second if statement is to check whether or not the list has reached capacity, and in this case it does not because there's nothing, right? So we don't have to do anything there as well. So what we do is we just push front the key and value pair. So right now our list looks like this, 1, 1, like this, and then our map P, which in this case will be 1, will store the value of the iterator, right? Remember, we are storing the iterator of the list, begin, right? The reason why we're storing the iterator will be explained later, but for visualization's sake, I will put in the node, right? So this is basically the iterator of this node in the list. Okay, after that calls put again, 2, 2. This will not trigger, this will not trigger, so we put only, right? So push front, so 2 is here, 2, and then we add the key value into our map, 2, 2. Okay, and then it wants us to get, right? Okay, so when we get in this function, I will try to first find whether or not the key exists in the map. In this case, we are getting 1, so the key does exist, but in the event that it does not, you return -1. So since it exists, what my function will then do is use splice, right? So splice is a built-in function in list where it will move the node, it will move a node to another position inside the same linked list. So what I mean by that is the splice, the first argument is where I want to put it. The second argument is which linked list I want to use. And the third argument is the iterator, right? Which is why we store the iterator inside the map. So what happens here is I want to put the node of 1, right? Since we use get already, that means this one is not the least recently used rate. This one has to be moved forward. So I splice, I move the one forward, right, at this list, using this list, at the key of this one, which is over here. So what this happens is this will move to the front, right, something like this. Okay, so in the event that if let's say right, this one have another node like this, right, so what splice will actually do is that it will move everything behind to the front like this. Actually no, it will not move everything to the front. It will only move this node to the front. One. Okay, it will move like this, right? So splice is basically a method to move the nodes around. Okay, since you don't have the tree, I'll delete this. Okay, and then I return the key of the second, which is the value. So map key is using 1, right? So 1. So this is the value we're going to return, and then the second. So second will be this, will be 1. Okay, that's why LRU cache, when you call get1, we return 1. Okay, after that, it tries to put 3, right? Okay, so when we put 3, remember now that our capacity is 2, so our cache is actually full. But let's keep going first. So the first if statement doesn't trigger because there's no 3. And the second if statement will trigger because the list size now is equals to cap, right? Our list size is 2. So what we do is we erase the back of the list first, right? So the back of the list, which is this node, and then the first will be the key of 2. So the map will erase this. After that, the list will also pop back. So this will be removed. Okay, then only then it will push front the new key and value, which is 3, and then add it into our map as well. Okay, so when we call put, our map looks like this, our list will look like this. So 1 becomes the least what is it called, least recently used value again. So when you want to call get, again, since the map cannot find the 2, you just return -1, and then you try to put 4. So the same thing happens when you try to put 4. When you try to put 4, this does not trigger. This will trigger because our cache is full. We erase the first, we erase the back, which is here, back first, which is this one. So erase this, and then we pop back, and then we push front 4, and then we insert as a key again. So 4, 4, 4. Right. So, okay. Let's begin, right? Because we push front. Alright. And then after that, you just try get 1, get 3, get 4. Okay. So let's say I want to put, let's say I want to put a new key, not a new key, the same key called 3. But I want to change the value to 5, right? So 3 to 5. Okay, when I call this, now this if statement will then trigger because there is an existing key already, which is 3. So what happens is I move the node 3 to the front of the list again. So I move this to the front, and then I change the value into the new value, right? So this will be 5, right? Okay, this will be 5, this will be 5. Okay, so that's what happens when we use put. Then we just return, nothing else we need to do. And then this is our list after we put 3, 5. This is our map after we put 3, 5. So when you call get again, you return the correct value, which is 5. Okay, pretty straightforward. That's all I have to show. Thanks.